Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to the Cuphead races that we have here, the weekly races, community arranged races, I should say, as we are about to kick the last quarterfinals match between Wellisso and Multiluigi100. I'm Tispas, I'm here with Zanning for today's commentary for the low% race between those two.
Hello, guys.
So yeah, this race is going to be low%, as I said earlier, and it's going to be a really exciting one, I'd say. Low% is kind of a difficult category, I'd say. You don't really have a lot of equipment, right? Not any charms, no any weapons, just with a base gun completing the game. So a lot of the bosses can be a little bit tricky, but of course, the runners have experience, especially Multiluigi, who held low% records for quite a while. I don't know if he still has it. Let me check, because I actually don't remember if he still has it. But one thing I know about Luigi,
has it on regular.
Yeah, you're right. He has on both Legacy and current patch. And not only does he have like a world record, I'd say that he has expressed many times that he feels extremely comfortable with this category. It's like one of his favorites. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those two fare against each other, as Wellisso had some struggles in the weekly race in low%, but he did quite well, I'd say.
Yeah, and personally, I think this is one of my favorite categories to play and watch, even because for some reason this category really has a special place in my heart, because just the idea of completing the game with the very minimum things you can have in your inventory, there's just some certain charm to it that I really can't explain, but I like this category. So it's going to be a really interesting game to watch, and good luck to both racers.
Yeah, good luck indeed, as they are about to start. And there's something magical I have to say about P-Shooter. It kind of, I guess, reminds both of us that every single run, I guess, how we start playing Cuphead, right? Because I believe none of us used any weapons at the beginning, right? We just used the base gun and we were experimenting. So I guess there's like that feeling, I guess, of, I don't know if I can say nostalgia, but I guess, yeah, that feeling when we started playing the game first time. Low%, they're not going to go through the tutorial or anything. They're just going to go straight to bosses. Nothing else. Boss fight, boss rush.
Nothing. As vanilla as you can get. So This is going to be also really interesting, because I don't think Wellisso has submitted any runs in this category, so we really don't have anything to compare the two racers here. So we'll see how it goes. So they're both entering the first boss right here. It's going to be really interesting to see whether or not they're going to go for the parries, which I'm not exactly sure if you want to do that or not, but it looks like they're both going for them.
Yeah, they are extremely synced, I have to say. That's a really cool thing. I don't know if Mr. Dino behind the scenes actually fixed that thing, but that's really cool. I believe the parries are usually a good thing in low%, from my experience at least, because the P-Shooter EX is actually one of the stronger ones in Cuphead. I'd say that raw damage might be like third best. Maybe if you add skill into it, roundabout can be slightly better than it, but you have to swing the roundabout. So yeah, both runners doing a really good job so far. Taking those hits is like part of the strats, I guess. One thing you need to mention here is that Luigi did like a really good damage boost, whereas Wellisso took a hit really early on, so he didn't really do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and both racers are getting a very similar time here. 54 versus 56, there's not really that big of a difference just yet, and everyone is proceeding to the next boss, so it's still anyone's game at this point, pretty much. And one thing I want to say about using the P-gun in this category is that, as you saw probably in the last boss fight, you always want to go as far away from the boss's hitbox as possible when there is a phase transition, so there are more bullets traveling towards the boss's hitbox while the transition is happening. So that saves just a little bit of time, but in speedrunning, everything counts, right?
Exactly, everything counts, and especially in this fight, I'd say, because a lot of the times people actually miss the quick second phase, I guess. We'll see here if both runs get in or not. It feels like Luigi has done enough damage. And what I mean by that quick second phase, you see right here, Luigi got one cycle, whereas Wellisso had to wait for an extra attack from the left frog. So that's going to be like a little bit of a time loss. This is like a really common thing that we see in open runners.
Yeah, and an interesting detail is that I actually counted that if you get the fastest possible RNG with the Fireflies, you need to use 6 P-Gun X's, and if you get any slower RNG, 5 are enough if you do the double damage trick, which you saw Luigi do, aiming at the frog's feet. A little detail.
Yeah, the little details do matter, especially in a category where you don't have that much in your arsenal, right? You have to like grab every little time save that you can get. Luigi getting a 122, which I believe is like, I think it's one of the best. I'm not sure if you can get like a 121, but yeah, that's definitely a really good. Yeah. It's like it requires extremely aggressive.
For that.
Yeah, fast RNG, I guess extremely aggressive positioning, even though like Fisher is not that gun, I guess. I don't know. Something along those lines.
Goopy is probably gonna be one of the trickiest fights in this category to maximize your damage. It's not really hard to survive the fight, but it's really easy to miss a lot of those P-gun shots in this fight. As you can see here, because his movement is a little awkward with to aim with the P-gun.
Yeah, I have to say,
to follow him and jump with him to maximize your damage.
I think that Luigi did a fantastic job, I'd say, in the first phase.
Yes.
Wellisso actually did a really good job as well. He missed like a couple of shots during like the last jumps, but Luigi had a really clean fight, other than some misses there with the EX. I believe he might get like a 45, which is really impressive time. Let's see what he got. 47. Yeah, 47 I think. Yeah, 47 I think is the best, now that I think about it. So, extremely impressive.
I've seen him do a 45. I think he got that in his work. Because I watched it very recently.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be right, yeah, 45. Because I think that's where I saw that 45. You can see those missed shots from Wellisso, especially like in the first phase, cost him a little bit. And those real time losses add up. You can see Luigi is already like 1/4 of a boss ahead, I'd say at this point.
Yeah, a little bit. Those tiny things ended up counting a little bit of time. Because the frog fight, you can lose a lot of time if you have to like get one extra cycle, if you will.
Exactly.
But then again, the racers are still very close to one another, so still anyone's game and anything can happen. If there is an unfortunate death or anything like that, things can change very quickly.
That's the exciting thing about Cuphead races, I'd say. It's like the game it's tough. It's not easy, even though like a lot of runners have done this a lot of times. You know, they will have like difficulties in some bosses. One good thing though for Hilda is the fact that you do this fight every single time in the same way in the current patch. So
true.
Yeah.
Luigi almost cornered himself there, but he just managed to dodge in a very tight spot.
Yeah, those dodges are always fun to see in airplane levels, because you know, bullet hells and stuff.
So what would you predict is one of the hardest bosses in this category, like in general?
It's kind of difficult to say 100%, like which is like the most difficult. Baroness von Bonbon seems hard, but I'd say like Captain Briny Beer might be the hardest one, I'd say. Not necessarily for surviving, but getting a really good time, a really competitive time, because it depends on RNG, but at the same time, with the RNG you get, you might want to get like to play a little bit more aggressive and such, which, you know, it is kind of difficult. Another one might be like the B fight, but with better optimizations, I guess the B became slightly easier at this point.
True. So we see Luigi has already proceeded to the flower boss. Cracked Incarnation, and Wellisso is right behind. So they're still neck and neck. Really exciting to see.
we have some love in chat, so that's nice. Appreciate it, guys. Now, interesting to mention here in this fight is that they're playing on current patch. Cagney on the current patch with low percent is slightly more difficult in Legacy. There's like a specific glitch that you can do in the Legacy version that you can freeze Cagney throughout the whole fight. It's kind of difficult to execute that, but when you do that, you get one of the fastest Cagney fights ever. So in Legacy, it's like a huge time save. Current patch, though, they're going to have to play the whole fight.
I actually learned about that glitch very recently. Isn't it something like you have to run into him while he's doing the acorn attack or something?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to do the dash while he's doing those when he throws those seeds or boomerangs, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of like not that difficult to do, but at the same time, it's kind of weird. So people will like get a feeling, I guess, when to dash. As both runners are going to move into aisle 2 now. The route that they're going to take is different than in all bosses categories. They're going to start with Beppy first, because in low percent you don't pick up the bomb upgrades for the airplane. So that means that, you know, that doing Barnes von Bonbon first costs you a little bit of time. I think like 2 seconds slower, because you don't pick up the bombs, whereas doing Beppy first is like faster.
And one thing that we can see Luigi do here is using EX. Oh, never mind. Well, he used one EX to probably push Beppy to the second phase before getting a third cycle or something. But there's the hidden hitbox, which we have been mentioning like every race. So when he's shooting those EXs down there in the middle, he's not crazy person. Or at least not because he's doing that, but for other reasons maybe.
Yeah. It's
That's another story.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure a lot of people are like wondering why are they throwing those EXs down there. But there's like a hidden hitbox. There's always a hidden hitbox in Cuphead. No matter how many patches they're gonna have, we're gonna find those hitboxes.
Yeah. So if you're going to see them do the same thing at what's the name again of the B? Rumor Bottom's fight. Yeah, there's also a hidden hitbox in the same place in that fight, so they might be abusing that as well. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, utilizing that hitbox down below, you can see that last phase was actually really fast. Even with Pea Shooter, that was a really fast phase. Usually, you know, with guns like Spread or Charge and, you know, Roundabout, you deal so much damage to Beppy that, you know, you don't really get a second Penguin cycle, but without hidden hitbox, you just like destroy him.
I think the best time you can get is something like 117, 116. I've never gotten 116, but I've gotten 117 once or twice.
I believe 117 is the best, but it requires you RNG with a green horse, because I don't think you can one cycle the golden horse with Pea Shooter. I guess it might. Yeah, might be possible maybe if you have like a lot of EXs to throw to that hidden hitbox, but it might be like extremely RNG based, I'd say. We haven't really tested it, I think.
So Luigi was really lucky in this Jimmy fight that he got actually 2 parryable bullets, so he can throw the nuke at the first phase, which saves a little bit of time during the course of the boss fight.
Whereas Wellisso unfortunately didn't really get that parable attack. And that's actually really rare to see the sword attack without any parable sword. I think that's extremely bad RNG, I'd say.
Yeah, that's pretty bad RNG. But then again, it's only 1 or 2 seconds that you're gonna lose, so that big of a deal. But as we say, everything counts. But
exactly. You even get like a faster sarcophagus phase, which it might be a little bit of a problem if, you know, the ghost gets in your way and blocks some of your bullets, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get confirmation from Wolf in chat that you can one cycle with 4 or 5 EXs, so the golden horse. So that's almost impossible. Let's just say that.
Yeah, but people probably never get that many EXs because they throw them at the hit and hitbox.
Exactly.
Unless they specifically prepare for that unfortunate event and have a backup strategy or something.
A+ fighter from Luigi. Really clean fight. 129. I guess some RNG elements might cost me like the faster fight there, but still below 130 is extremely good. So gonna move on.
Solid time.
Just gonna move on to by far the most difficult fight in Isle 2. Green Matchstick, I guess, might be harder, but I guess it's personal preference, right?
I think so. But the thing about this fight is that the last phase is pretty long, and it gets kind of tricky while you want to maximize your damage output while dodging the head. So we'll see how he deals with that. You probably want to save as many EXs to the end as possible so that you can deal with the last phase as fast as you possibly can. But then again, for example, this waffle guy that Luigi just encountered, you want to essentially one-cycle him to get the best time, so maybe he wants to spend some EXs here, who knows? And there he goes.
Yeah. I believe like it's extremely difficult to one-cycle the waffle, so probably two-cycle is like the best thing you can do, I guess, with Fisher. It might be like extremely tight to one-cycle the waffle, but yeah. Luigi is not in that difficult last phase, but he had enough EXs and he did a really good job there, killing the Baroness von Bomb on a really good time, I'd say.
101, that is a ridiculously good time. Wow.
Almost sub 1.
That is actually really good time in this category. Yep. I've never gotten that good even while practicing this fight.
Yeah, Luigi is extremely good at Baroness von Bomb fighting in every single category that he plays. I don't know why though. Wellisso gets the knockout as well. Not a single death from both runners. Yeah. Like I remember he did the first sub 50 in the all bosses category in the tournament, and that was like by far one of the most impressive things we've seen from him. Yeah, moving on to Wally Warbles. Airplane fights in current patch is all about EX management. I think I've said that specific line in every single match that I did commentary that included a current patch. Because that is true.
It is true.
Yeah. Yeah, Wellisso as well, Wally Wobbles, not really that far away. Like you can see that a little bit of better optimization in his fights brings Luigi like ahead. But both of them are, you know, deathless in this one so far. So it's pretty impressive to see that they are about to go to the last boss of Final 2 without a death. But it's not over yet, of course. We have Wally Wobbles.
So here we saw Luigi doing some damage boosting because he got cornered in that left-hand side corner in the last phase, but he had 3 HP, so he calculated that he could tank those 2 hits and get optimal kill time there.
Yeah, 102 as well. I think that
that's a good time.
102 with just Fisher might be the best one. I think close to 1 minute. I think is like good.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad time.
Wellisso is cornered as well.
Wellisso deciding not to go for the damage boost there.
Yeah,
but
safer
he
strat.
Got a clean kill anyway.
Yeah, safer strat, I think. Safer strat.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of time lost though as well. Moving on to either Grim or Bonbon are the hardest boss fight in Isle 2. I'm not sure exactly which one. Probably Grim, I guess. I mean,
yeah, it's really difficult to say because it's somewhat subjective.
Yeah.
I myself don't think Grim is really hard in low percent.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my personal opinion. It's just whatever people feel confident with.
Yeah, I agree. It can be troublesome, I guess, but so far though, we're doing a really good job. You'll see when Grim actually has a death animation right here. You can shoot at his mouth and he will take damage to the next phase. Mm-hmm. So That's the only hitbox that he has until he transforms. Luigi is having a really good fight so far, and he might get the quick kill. And I mean by quick kill, I mean when he does a flamethrower attack, he might kill Grim. Let's see if he gets it.
At least he's tanking the damage. That was a really impressive fight.
Oh my god, that was a thing below 110, I'd say.
You think so?
No, 113. Right.
Almost.
Never mind. Yeah, never mind.
113 is a very impressive time, nonetheless.
Yeah. I got excited because he didn't even wait for the second flamethrower. I thought that he had a really fast fight, let's say. Wellisso 1 HP, the last phase of Dragon. That is going to be clutch.
Oh no, he had a very unfortunate death right there.
So that's usually what happens to a lot of runners right there. They try to dodge the flames and they turn to the right side and they never let go of the fire button. So, you know, they turn right, they fire, and they hit the flame by accident even though they didn't want to do it. So that's what happened right there.
One pretty neat trick you can do actually in the last phase is to save up your EXs and go to the lower clouds, and when they fire at you, you jump and use an EX to gain some air time, so you don't accidentally like shoot the balls because they go in a downward diagonal angle. So it's really hard to, like, you might hit it once with your P gun, but not twice to break them. So that's a pretty neat technique you can try to utilize here.
Yeah, Luigi now on the Luigi being on that second phase of the B, he got the middle pattern. And he got some horrendous RNG with the platforms, I'd say. So he didn't really put so much damage to the B. So I'd say that in general he didn't really get the better RNG. So he might have kind of a rough last phase, but at the same time he is healthy. So I think he's gonna be fine. In the meantime, Wellisso gets the knockout.
Yeah, and also if you were paying attention to Luigi's fight, he was throwing those EXs down below the middle, as we were saying earlier that there's a hidden hitbox in the B fight also. So taking advantage of that, very nice job. Oh,
he cleared that third phase way too fast though. I'm actually kind of impressed. Like, did he do in the second cycle too much damage? Like, I didn't think it was possible, but that's actually really impressive.
It's possible with that hidden hitbox, actually. And I think it's also possible to get the very early kill as well with the right RNG and stuff like that. Did the stream go offline? We have the... Hello?
Yeah, the stream is live. Don't worry. Just refresh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought my connection blacked out for a second there because I couldn't hear you say anything.
Yeah, there needed to be a quick refresher, but we're back online now. Luigi 1 HP on Dr. Carl Robot, while Wellisso is fighting the B. Being on 1 HP is kind of rough in that last part, but Luigi did a really good job nevertheless. As Wellisso is doing the same thing with the P-Shot EXs, he's gonna have like a longer third phase. He didn't really do that much damage to that.
Also deciding to go for a risky strat and damage boost some shots down there. He must feel like he's really close to a knockout, and he was very right about that, and there he goes.
Yeah, he was down. He was close, but he actually didn't really... he missed a lot of his shots. He was like just a couple of shots from actually killing the B. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him.
And meanwhile, Luigi is starting with Sally's stage play, which is probably one of the trickiest fights to maximize your damage in, because she jumps around and dashes like crazy sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to like make every hit land on her. So there can be like really good time gains or time losses in this fight.
Yeah, that is correct. Like, it's not necessary. I think you said this about this fight for the current patch, at least. In every single category, I'd say Sally is not that difficult, but it can be tricky because you want to maximize your damage, as you said. So a lot of times you might get a little bit out of position, so you might get hit. But yeah, if things go correctly, if you don't get way too greedy, I guess you can survive the fight easily.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a knockout on Sally right now, and meanwhile, Wellisso is nuking the Dr. Kaos robot, and I think he's on the finish line pretty much there. So there's a one boss difference in the pace of these runners right now, pretty much.
Yeah, that death on a green matchstick definitely put Wellisso quite far behind.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but anything can still happen.
Yeah. So for the playoffs, it's a best of 3. For the first match, we had a total of 8 categories in the weekly races. So Luigi had the higher seed, coming on to the playoffs. So he banned 4 categories. Wellisso banned 3. So they played the category that was left. The loser of this race will pick the next one, the next category. And if race 3 is needed, then we're gonna go for. The loser of race 2 will pick 3 categories, and the winner will pick one of those 3. It's a little bit more complex, but if we get to race 3, I'll talk about it.
Are we gonna see race 2 today, by the way, or is it on another day?
Yes, all the races are going to be played today.
Okay, nice. The more content, the better.
Exactly. Depending on the category, Candy's logic, you can have weapon swap glitch. The thing is, they are playing on the current patch, so they are not allowed to. In current patch, you don't have the weapon swap glitch, and specifically for this category, it's low %, so they are only using the P-shooter for this category. Yeah. So they don't have any other weapon to swap, I guess.
Yep.
Luigi gets a really nice knockout on Werner Vermeer. I'd say around 106 would be nice. 108, really good time.
Not bad at all.
Especially Werner Vermeer gives Luigi a lot of trouble. Even on all bosses, even in Legacy, Werner Vermeer gives Luigi some trouble. So, getting like the competitive times.
And it's weird how people struggle with different things in this game. I always find that fascinating, that I really struggle on this next boss that Luigi is right now starring, the RNG Captain Pirate.
Yeah.
Like, this can be one of the make or break moments in this run, because this fight is really hard to optimize, and you can lose a lot of time here if you get bad patterns or take too many hits and have to play safe. But for now, Luigi is getting a really good RNG with getting a shark attack, which doesn't really do anything. So, and now he gets the Sea Dog attack, which is the one that is probably the worst thing you can get.
Definitely. Like, Captain Bear can be extremely punishing if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I was doing a low % race in my playoff match, and I lost 1 minute and 50 seconds in this fight, simply because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know the strats. So,
wow. Luigi going YOLO with that red beam right there. He was with 1 HP and he decided to go for it, and he was rewarded with a very quick time on that one.
Yeah, 52 is something that even runners in the old bosses category with spread, will.
Yeah, that is very impressive.
Yeah,
looks
extremely
like
good.
He's on fire right now.
Yeah, he's unstoppable. He is indeed. Like, Luigi is always happy to play low %, I'd say. One of his favorite categories by far.
Mm-hmm.
Venom fight. Yep.
Yeah, meanwhile, Wellisso is just about to finish the Werner Werman fight. So it will be interesting to see what his time here is compared to Luigi's 106. I wasn't really paying attention because I was so excited about the Pirate Captain fight. That was a very intense moment indeed.
Yeah, he had a relatively safe first and second phase. He didn't really opt to go to do like crazy stuff. But he he actually got a really good time. 112 by playing it like safe in the first phase is actually not that bad.
That's true.
Luigi actually is having a rather slow fight, I'd say, in Calamaria. But he's securing that nuke for that second phase to avoid the petrifying gaze right here. He uses those iframes that he gains from the bomb to dodge that petrifying gaze. And right now he's on just the last phase. He sticks close to Calamaria and just dodges the pillars. Not a big deal.
Another thing that you can do is damage boosting to get some invincibility frames to dodge that petrifying gaze. So you run into her face, and right before she does the gaze, and then you don't get frozen while you're invincible. But that's risky if you don't have full HP, so he had only 2 health left, so he wanted to play safe there and save the nuke.
Yeah, the last phase is not that difficult, but it can be a bit problematic sometimes, I guess. So rather playing safe than, rather be safe than sorry, I guess, in that situation.
Yeah. Being deathless is the biggest time saver.
Exactly. Oh, those dodges there from Wellisso, they're so close.
Yeah. My hands are sweating when I'm watching that stuff.
Yeah, that cool dodge that you just saw just there is something that we learned quite like recently, I guess. I'd say like back in February or January. You can dodge that laser attack by actually ducking and dashing. For some reason, the game thinks that you are standing in, like you are ducking, even if you're dashing, so you can dodge that laser. So that's kind of weird. But it's really helpful if you get to that situation, like Wellisso did.
I heard the explanation was that actually while you're dashing, your head doesn't have a hitbox. So that's why, for example, Forest Follies, you can sometimes dash under those pink parryable spike thingies. Even though it kind of looks like you're hitting them, but if your head doesn't have a hitbox, then you're not hitting it.
I believe the head has a hitbox, but it might be like lower or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It doesn't match the animation like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get you. Now moving on to the last phase right there of Phantom Express. Luigi doesn't really have all of his excess. I don't know if it's 100% possible to do that on an 0%, but there's like a slow possibility that you can get one cycle on that train. I don't think in low percent it's that easy to get though. It might require perfect aim, I'd say. But yeah, nevertheless, he gets a really nice 2-cycle. Yeah.
And many people find it really hard to get that even in like those categories that don't have the same limitations as this one. Even with the spread gun and stuff like that, it's really hard to get sometimes.
1 HP for Wellisso in Calamaria. He's gonna wait for the nuke. Waiting for that nuke for the last phase is actually good if you are, not feeling safe. In that situation, being a 1 HP, you definitely have to wait for that nuke. He didn't really lose that much time.
111 is a solid time here. And meanwhile, Luigi is starting the fight with King Dice, so it's gonna be interesting to see what mini bosses he's deciding to go for. So some runners go for 1, 4, and 8, while others go for 1, 6, and 8. So maybe the theory is that if you have only the P gun, the plane level might be a little bit faster, but if you have more than the P gun in your arsenal, maybe the domino piece is faster to do.
Yeah, but I believe that doing poker chips first is better than doing the number 1. So a lot of situations you do poker chips and dominoes. Even though, as Zanning said, the airplane fight might be faster, dominoes is not that slow, so you actually don't waste a dice roll by doing chips and dominoes.
Yeah.
So it might be like slightly faster to do it that way.
And sometimes if you end up taking some early damage in chip fight, for example, maybe if there is a health on 6, maybe some runners want to take the safety and grab that extra health there. or some stuff like that can affect the decision.
Yeah, definitely. Luigi gets a nice knockout on the domino, while Bellisso is on 1 HP now on the Phantom Express. Last phase can be a bit tricky, but with Pisher, you just have to repeat the same stuff. I think Bellisso doesn't really know the strat with Pisher, so it might be a little bit more difficult for him to do Phantom Express right now. But we'll see.
But he's finding those hits pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah, he's actually hitting them quite well. He's got a really fast knockout as well.
Yeah.
It's very nice. I believe
Not bad at all.
Yeah, the only thing that might be slightly slower from what Wellisso did might be that extra lag that he causes when he parries the card. So it's not that big of a time loss, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much it takes time for one parry. Is it like 0.2 second or whatever?
I believe it's something quite small, but significant, I guess, if you do multiple parries in a round, I'd say.
Yeah. So let's say if you parry those cards like 5 times, that's 1 second lost.
Exactly. Yeah, probably. And right now, Luigi is gonna fight King Dice, the last boss of this category, simply because in low percent we end the game when we accept the deal from the devil. So let's see how Luigi handles the last boss fight of the category, as Wellisso just begins this fight. Not that difficult of a fight. Luigi gets the knockout, and let's see how he does now. I mean, you just have to press yes, I guess. So it's not that difficult to split.
Would be kind of sad if he clicked no instead, but he can always exit to map and try again.
Oh, he might get a world record actually. From what I see, from people saying in chat.
Yeah, I think he's been having a really solid run so far, so definitely a possibility.
Yeah, he did get some impressive time, so let's see what he says. As he says yes, and he finishes the run.
So currently the record is 32:30, and I have no idea what his time is right now.
He got a 32:10, so that's a world record by 10 seconds, by 20 seconds. GG's, Luigi. We're getting a world record.
Alright. GG, man.
Yeah, and a really impressive time as well. 32:10 is ridiculous, I'd say.
I think that's pretty ridiculous, considering that he got almost sub 1 minute bonbon and stuff like that. It's not really a surprise that he got the world record, but boy, what a way to get that, like 20 seconds. That's I felt like this category was already pretty optimized, but clearly I was wrong. So GG's. Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Wellisso did have a really good race, nevertheless. One unfortunate death on the Dragon, of course, putting quite behind, and a little bit of unoptimized fights, right? But nevertheless, he did a really good job, I'd say. It's definitely going to be a PB pace. It's definitely PB, I'd say, for Wellisso, because I believe before the race, his PB was around 38 minutes. So, victories for both runs, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. Good effort.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's weird how these races work, because you have the pressure from having to perform in a race, but sometimes that can be a driving force for you to perform beyond your limits, kind of.
Exactly.
So we've already seen in this tournament bracket, we see this world record by Luigi. We have seen a PB by Kaleva in the All Bosses regular category. And we almost saw a new world record by Wolf the other day. He was like 4 seconds off his old record in All Bosses on regular, which is really impressive.
Getting those ridiculous times, I'd say that only the experienced runners in these categories can get. Like, Luigi, Wolf, Kaleva, as you mentioned, those three are by far some of the best Cuphead speedruns that we had. So it's extremely impressive to see that, they can perform it during races as well. Because Cuphead is not an easy game to race. A lot of stuff can go wrong during a race. So actually having a world record pace or PB pace in a ridiculous category. I say that. It's pretty impressive. And Wellisso right now is about to finish his run as well. Saying yes, as in the weekly race that we had, Wellisso actually the devil, but he does get a really impressive PB as well. So GG's to Wellisso as well. I believe he gets a PB by close to 3 minutes, so that's pretty good for him.
So all in all, he also had a really good run, apart from that one unfortunate death at the dragon fight.
Exactly, yeah. That one dragon fight, cost him about 1 minute and 20 seconds probably, or something like that.
Something around those numbers, yeah.
Yeah. He would have been in a, I'd say, low 33 pace for Wellisso if he didn't have that death.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the race 2. In a few, we're gonna take a small break to let the racers, breathe a little bit, and then have Wellisso decide which category they're gonna be playing in the second race. So yeah, we'll be right back. I see you guys.
See you guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cuphead Weekly Races, the playoffs. Right now, we're back at stage of the last quarterfinals match between Wellisso and Luigi100. We had the race one previously. Lopez and Luigi won the first one by actually setting a world record, impressive world record, I should say. There was a little bit of a delay now, but it was because we were setting up for the bingo race, which the second race was chosen from Wellisso. It's going to be a really interesting one, I'd say. Double bingo race, something fresh, exciting in the Cuphead community, I'd say, and kind of random. So I guess it kind of makes sense that Wellisso picked this category since she put some effort into being, good at the bingo, and competing against Luigi is definitely something really difficult. So he thinks that he has a chance by, challenging Luigi into that bingo. So let's see how this goes. Yeah, there was a little bit of a delay because we had to set everything up, but yeah, we are almost ready to go.
Oh yeah, the bingo is going to be a really interesting category in the sense that makes the players think on their feet, because they don't have the bingo card revealed just yet. They can only reveal it when the race is just begun. So they really have to think fast what they want to do with it. So, we will talk about the bingo card probably more when we can actually see it on the stream. So let's not go into too many details just yet, but let's just say that it requires some quick thinking on your decision on how you want to approach the run. Because it's very different from doing, for example, all bosses or all flags or anything like that.
Exactly. It's in the beginning, we're going to talk a little bit about the bingo, like how some goals work and such. As like the runs in the beginning are going to be doing, I'd say, normal stuff, probably a running gun, just because a running gun will give them a little bit of time to think what they're going to do. But yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff as soon as like the race is underway.
Mm-hmm. And now we can actually see the bingo card, which is right here below the player streams. So it's a 5x5 grid. And basically what you have to do is you have to win the race, you have to be the faster player to get a double bingo, which is like 2 rows or columns. It can, or even a diagonal, I think, right?
Yes, even a diagonal as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing from this, from this card, you can see that there are some goals that include King Dice, Devil, and Expert. For the double bingo specifically, Expert, you don't have to do the Devil. You don't have to be the Devil to unlock Expert. You can just exit your save file and prepare the first Expert glitch if you want to do like those Expert goals. And specifically for King Dice and Devil, if you want to go for those goals, you're going to have to beat the game on the regular difficulty, because that's the only way you gain access to those bosses. But you can actually clear the game on simple, and you can have access to every single boss other than those two. So for the double bingo, we might see players beating the game on simple difficulty. So we're going to see what they're going to choose.
And Luigi is already starting the first level here. He being a really difficult one, even though it's the first technically in the game. But if you want to do it really fast, it can be a little tricky to get past the acorn machine if you're going for a pacifist route, for example, which is one of those options that you can see in the column 1, clearing 3 levels in pacifist mode. So it looks like Luigi is going for that one at least.
Yeah, we got 2 pacifist goals in this bingo. One of them is clear 3 running guns on pacifists, right? You can see Wellisso failed to get through that acorn machine. He didn't have any of the path balls, so he had to retry as Luigi gets first try that pacifist, which is pretty impressive. And the other goal is to clear a pacifist level without taking damage, which is kind of difficult in this specific one. So we'll see Luigi going through Tree of Trouble and clearing that one.
That's probably the easiest run gun to get without taking any damage while being pacifist also.
Exactly. It's also not that time consuming, I guess. If you want to play extremely safe, which for the purpose of the goal, I think that's the wisest thing to do. You can just like take your time, I'd say. That's the best choice you have. As Wellisso goes through the echo machine, second try, still pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, 7, not bad.
And I believe Luigi immediately starts boss fights. He doesn't really go for, charge route or anything. Judging from his weapon layout, sure, because there is another goal that says reach aisle 3 without any upgrades. Basically, reach aisle 3 by doing low percent, and both of the runners did low percent in the previous race, so I guess they're familiar with that setup.
So Luigi is taking a death there for no apparent reason, but we are in the race room and we see that he actually asked a question about some of those rules regarding those Island 3 like without upgrades until there. So that's why there was a weird death on his screen. And one more thing we probably have to mention, that on the bingo card you can see that both players already have 2 boxes checked. So those are restriction rules. So if you quote unquote break those rules, you have to uncheck that box, but it's checked by default until you break it. So the ones are not to pick up the bomb upgrade and not use the lubber or roundabout. So if people are, or one of the racers are deciding to pick up the bomb upgrade like anyway, then they have to uncheck that box.
Yeah, those are like the restriction goals. Even if you somehow like meet some of them, for example, in the specific case that I don't use lobber or roundabout. If you happen to use one, you don't have to clear the fight. It's like a little bit of safety, I guess, in case someone misses. Luigi, the question that he had was if they go reach aisle 3 without any upgrades count if he already bought something. Unless he uses it, it counts. It's like on the rule sheet of the bingo that we have. Another thing to mention, of course, is that some goals might not be that self-explanatory. It might be a little weird, but they're gonna have to like read the rules before they actually play the bingo. So it's like the alpha version, I guess, of the game. So they are alpha testers, so they know those rules. Yeah. We're gonna talk about those rules during the stream, of course.
And Wellisso is actually retrying the root pack boss, even though he defeated it once, but he's also going for that A+ rank, apparently. He might have missed a parry or something like that in his first attempt, and now he's tackling it again to get that A+ rank.
Yeah, he's definitely going for the A+ rank. It's extremely convenient that it's like aisle 1, but at the same time, of course, it will cost you a little bit of time if you mess up, and that already happened. Luigi's not going to go for it, I believe, so I'm interested to see which lane he's going to pick. Or maybe he is, now that I think about it. Yeah, he might go for it. I didn't really pay attention what he got on root pack. Probably he did get an A rank, A+.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yep.
I guess if we ever see him taking a hit in Island 1, we're gonna see him reset, and we can determine that he probably went for that. It would make sense, because it's not that hard of a goal to get, and it's also like the 3rd in that column 1 already. So that's probably what they are going to go for. But for their second bingo, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they're gonna go for. They might choose something completely different.
Yeah, I believe there is going to be like a little bit of a change. From what I see, of course, column 1 makes sense since you already have those 2 restriction goals met. Of course, it will affect gameplay a little bit, but fortunately enough for them, there are no other goals that interact with those ones. So,
so taking an unfortunate hit at the fight from those boxing gloves.
Yeah, that can happen.
He also was holding off some damage to get the last parry that he needed to meet the requirements for the A+ rank. So, unlucky.
Yeah. Okay, we do get confirmation that Luigi got the so that's nice to know that. So yeah, column 1 makes sense since you already met those goals. There's also the A+ rank on Isle 1 bosses, which is not that difficult, I'd say. It might cost you a little bit of time if you mess up. And reaching Isle 3 without any upgrades is basically low percent. You saw both runners did this exact same thing previously with low percent race. The only extra thing, I guess, is those A+ on Isle 1. Yeah, once they're down there, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And also that they can't take any hits, and they have to parry 3 times.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So probably the hardest fight to get the A+ rank is Cognicarnation, because sometimes those patterns can get a little out of control, and it's really easy to get hit, or maybe it's hard to get enough parries, or something like that. Many things can happen.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be too hard anyways.
Yeah, Kagani is definitely the hardest boss. There are so many things going on the screen that can cause you trouble getting hit. Interesting thing to mention here, in order to get A+, also regular. As I said earlier, you don't have to beat the whole game on regular difficulty. You can play it on simple, because going to the next aisle doesn't really require you fighting the boss on regular. So you gain access to all aisle 3s by playing on simple. So that goal for the A+ will make them fight the aisle 1 bosses on regular, which will take a little bit of extra time as well.
So Luigi is already almost to the finish line with the Hildegard fight. He's just about to get in the moon transformation, so he's on a really good pace right now. He's a little bit ahead of Wellisso, but once again, it's anyone's game still. It's very early in the run, and anything can still happen. And maybe the direction of the route they're gonna pick later on might affect them in a positive or a negative way, so we'll see. Wellisso having to reset on the... Why do I keep forgetting all these boss names for whatever reason? Goopy fight here. Taking an unfortunate hit there. And meanwhile, Luigi has already completed Hildegard, and I think he got the A+ rank.
No, he actually didn't get it.
He missed it.
Yeah, he missed it by 1 power. Yeah, he gambled there by thinking that he might get a pink star, which he got, but he was going to get hit there if he was about to parry that. So it was like in a really awkward position for him. So
okay.
yeah, and instead of waiting for the fight, I guess he just keep shooting. I guess the habit of keep shooting on the boss.
Yeah, it's really hard to restrict yourself from not shooting.
Exactly.
I was actually trying the hater percent the other day just for the giggle, but I failed so hard at some points that I decided not to finish the run. But I found myself like wanting to shoot when I really had to wait for those parries, so I really can't blame him for doing that. It's in your blood as a speedrunner. You want to do things fast, and waiting around just doesn't fit the profile.
Exactly. Now, the unfortunate thing for Luigi, though, is the fact that, Wellisso did mess up on the Ruby and Cloak fight and the root back. He didn't really get the A+, but those fights are not really that slow, that fast. No, that's slow, I should say, yeah, sorry. But Luigi had to go through the whole Hilda fight, which is like a whole minute and 20 seconds, so that's a significant loss. And you can see like Wellisso already pretty much caught up with Luigi.
Yep. But there he goes. Now he gets the A+ on his second try, and he can proceed on to the next one.
Looking at this bingo card, I'd say that the best choices for both runners, of course, is column 1, as both of them actually realize that this is really fast column, and row 4, as Justin mentions as well. He knows me. We played bingo together.
Yeah.
Row 4 is by far the best one to go for. It doesn't include Devil, it doesn't include King Dice, and there are some... there's that goal that says get 3 parries on aisle 1 bosses, which you already are doing by completing the A+. So, and they're gonna be doing 3 bosses on simple, which is gonna happen on IO2 at least. So they only have to care about the running gun on pacifist, no damage, and beating an IO3 boss with Chaser, which is gonna happen, I believe, on B5.
Yep. And meanwhile, Wellisso took a very unfortunate hit at Hilda fight, and he had to reset the fight, so that's gonna set him back a little bit, but to be fair, stuff can still happen in this. As you can see, Luigi also has to reset his run and gun because he's going for that no damage run and gun in Treetop Trouble, which is probably the easiest one, as we mentioned before, but it's still not easy by any means. You can get hit by some weird stuff by accident very easily here.
Yeah, this section is by far like the hardest one, I guess. It really requires you to be patient, I'd say, and not really rush, which can be a little bit difficult sometimes, I guess. But yeah, you only have
especially in a race, because you kind of want to be fast. You have to beat your opponent, and if you don't know where your opponent is, you might be under pressure that you think you are behind him when you have some setbacks, like he had some resets at the bosses. But he doesn't know necessarily that Wellisso also to do a couple of resets, and he might think that he's behind when he's actually a little bit ahead, so there's some added pressure from those little factors there. And now we can see Wellisso is actually holding off one more parryable star before he finishes this fight.
Yeah. That's what Luigi should have done.
There it is.
Yeah, that's what Luigi should have done in the first place, but yeah, Wellisso did an A+. Luigi also got the pacifist, no damage. You can see on the bingo card is being marked. And now he's fighting Kagan Incarnation. We mentioned by far the hardest one to get A+, with just P shooter as well. It's like the extra factors.
Yeah. But so far he seems to be doing all right, but he's also getting some pretty lucky RNG because no seed attacks came. He only got those lunge or dash attacks, whatever you want to call those.
Yeah,
so that's a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, he rushed to the last phase. He's like attack to flower things that Kagni throws. He almost got a hit. I'm pretty surprised he didn't get a hit there. That was a really clutch parry on that. Fuzzyball, I guess.
Those speedrunner reflexes at its finest.
Exactly. So gonna wait for the third one now. Shooting a little bit to Kagni, says that, hey, I'm still around.
Yeah. Learning from his previous mistake on the Hilda fights.
Exactly. I think he should be done soon, as Wellisso does get the pacifist as well. And Luigi marks both goals at the same time. I'm pretty sure that both runners are going to go for the exact same goals. I believe this bingo card is actually really interesting, but at the same time, row 4 and column 1 are just like so good. Mm-hmm. They synergize as well, so it's like really difficult if you're an experienced bingo player to not, see them. So both of them do have the experience, and they're gonna go for the same goals, I guess.
So basically, it looks like they're gonna be finishing this race after boss on Island 3. So
yes.
The only difference we're gonna be seeing is probably whether they decide to go for Pirate Captain or B for that chaser weapon fight.
Yeah, I would say that the easier one is the B fight. For some reason, I think that Chaser works well with the B, because the most difficult part for the B fight is actually dodging, and Chaser, with Chaser, that's the only thing you do, you dodge. So, yeah. Plus, Captain Brightbeard has a lot of attacks, plus the chest that can interfere with a lot of the Chaser shots. Mm-hmm. So it might be like faster to go for the B as well.
Yeah, it's really annoying to try to make those chaser shots hit their mark with the barrel hanging up in the air and blocking most of your shots sometimes.
Exactly.
And that's something I wouldn't even know if I hadn't tried that sometime myself, because I was doing one gun chaser at the time, and that was really annoying because I tried to hit the boss, but it hits the stupid barrel instead.
Yeah. Now, I need to mention something interesting. We did say that IL2 bosses are gonna be fought on simple difficulty, and Luigi is playing Baroness von Bonbon on regular. Do you have to say something?
Well,
Specific?
personally, I think the simple version of Baroness is actually harder than the regular.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's really weird. So the only big difference, or there are some minor differences. The mini bosses move a lot faster in the simple mode. So the only kind of easier thing about the simple mode is that in the last phase, when you have to defeat the Baron herself, the ground doesn't actually move, so she's stationary. And that's the only thing I think is easier about that fight on simple than regular.
Yeah, I agree. And for someone who mentions, asks in chat, you don't have to beat the game, like clear the game by defeating the devil in the bingo. As soon as you hit both bingos, you are done. You hit, that time on SRL, or you end manually the split on live split.
And that's what makes this category so interesting, because it's always a little different. And you're gonna see the players do some shenanigans that they normally wouldn't do in any other category. That's what makes it a little confusing to cast also, but
yeah,
I think it's fun.
I think that they chose the same rows, I guess, so it makes it a little bit easier to. If they go for different rounds, it might be a little bit more difficult. Also, it's important to mention that the bingo is on its, I guess, first version, right? The alpha version bingo. So there are gonna be some mistakes or some things that might not really be that clear, but we are gonna fix it eventually. There are gonna be a lot of updates to the bingo, of course, in the future. But yeah, for now, we made sure that the bingo is at its state that by reading a set of goals and rules with more specified stuff, that runners can actually have a fun race at the bingo.
Yeah. And just a little thing actually about this race so far, they decided to go a little different route here. Luigi started with Baroness von Bonbon, while Wellisso started with Beppy, which is arguably the right choice when you don't want to pick up the mini bombs for the planes. It's the only reason you want to go for Bonbon first is if you want to pick up the mini bombs, but they're not picking them up. So a couple of seconds saved there by Wellisso by doing quote-unquote the right order. But
here's the interesting thing, though, and you'll be surprised as to why Luigi picked that. Went to Baroness von Bonbon first. I believe it's faster to go to Bonbon because you have to change difficulties. So he was on regular already by Bonbon regular. So he fought Bonbon first, and then he's gonna, once he changes to simple, he's gonna stay on simple for the rest of the bingo. So maybe it saves a little bit of time because Wellisso is gonna have to change difficulties unless he fights on simple, the Baroness von Bonbon. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Luigi deliberately he wanted to do that order because of that reason.
Maybe.
As he's done now with Beppy, he's gonna move on to, I believe he's gonna go for Wally Warbles and then a Green Matchstick, and then he's gonna clear Pacifist, the Funhouse Frazzle. I feel like Funhouse Frazzle is way easier than Funfair Figure to do Pacifist.
Oh yeah, that's the reason I decided to quit my hater percent run, because I didn't want to do the Funfair Fever. It was so obnoxious to try to dash through that narrow gap between those little things.
Exactly. If you don't have Smoke Bomb or hearts, at least one heart, I'd say, Funfair Fever is by far the most difficult thing to do Pacifist. In the game, I'd say the most difficult thing in the game.
Yes.
So Wellisso, as we said, is actually going to fight Bonbon simple, so he's going to have a little bit of harder time. As you can see, he's already 1 HP.
Because the speed of that little jawbreaker candy is actually pretty surprising on simple. It's a lot faster than on regular, and it can throw you off a little bit if you're not used to it.
Yeah, even those shotgun power balls, I guess, whatever they are a bit difficult to dodge.
So much harder to deal with than the stupid head.
Yeah. Yep. The head is just like one thing. If you have to hit 3 things here to make it so it's so tough. But he does make it, as both of them mark the goal: defeat 3 bosses on simple difficulty. You can see these rows that they pick, the row 4 and column 1, they just synergize so well. It's like extremely difficult to miss them.
So we are in a situation where pretty much those runners are... Oh, they're deciding to go for a different route. Wait, what? He's going for the shop now.
I believe that Wellisso is going to buy Chaser right now to be prepared. Luigi already bought Chaser. Luigi already bought Chaser in aisle 1, so this is the first shop for Wellisso. Keep in mind that the goal reach aisle 3 without using any upgrades. I believe the goal right now says without any upgrades, but what the goal should have been, which we're gonna change, of course, is without using any upgrades. We forgot to add that really important verb. You can prepare, you can do the shopping, but you're not allowed to use until you reach aisle 3.
Yeah, and if you accidentally, I don't know how you could accidentally do that, but if you accidentally did use the upgrades, and if you retry the boss again without the upgrades, then you can meet that. Yeah, you have to either retry or exit the map. If you, for example, using a chart, you obviously have to exit the map. And there are some goals that actually punish you. Like there's one specific goal that says reach aisle 3 without having 20, less than 20 deaths. And a retry and exit the map actually counts as a death because, well, we don't want people to cheese stuff here. Yeah. So Luigi is going to the Funhouse Frazzle right now, which we don't see that often speedruns, because All Flags is not as popular a category as, for example, All Bosses or something like that. So it's always nice to see something that's a little different than the usual.
Yeah, this is like, both rounds are going to do this on passive way better than Fanfare Fever, as we said. And if you do like specific stuff like some door glitches, you can get a really fast time as well. I believe Pacifist on this level might be close to 35 to 36 seconds, which is like 1 or 2 seconds behind the any percent record, I guess. But Luigi is going to be like making a really difficult jump here. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it.
No, unlucky.
Yeah, it was like a 50-50 where the tongue was going to appear either like up and down. So he was up. He tried to change gravity, but it was like way too late, I'd say.
But you can actually wait until the tongue disappears and the mouth stays open for a while after that, and then there is very little risk of taking damage. So if he had waited like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, he would have had a very much greater chance of surviving that dash, but he wanted to take a chance there.
I mean, you gotta save those 1 or 2 seconds, I guess.
Yeah, because you don't know whether or not you're ahead in this or not. So you
exactly.
want to try those hard things every now and then at least.
Exactly. Now he's really healthy. Even if he did take a damage, he would have made it with Pacifist. And you can see he cleared the goal as well in the bingo card.
Yep. And meanwhile, Wellisso has now defeated the dragon and also Funhouse Frazzle, while Luigi is already proceeding to aisle 3, I believe. So he's actually one boss away from completing the race.
Yes, and actually both runners had a really great time in the bingo, I'd say. It might be one of the faster bingo seeds that we had. I believe like we don't really have world records for this one because it's random, so we don't really know for sure. But if we had to say a world record, it's around 30 minutes and 35 seconds. So Luigi is gonna exit the game, and he's gonna go to already completed file and set up the fresh expert glitch to fight a boss on expert for the bingo file.
With the green gun.
With the green gun. the slow green gun, because I still think that roundabout is green, but I think the only reason I think it's green is because I don't really see colors that well.
I think it's now a mixture between blue and green.
Blue and green. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe I'm not really good with colors, I guess. As Wellisso is having trouble right now with Wellisso is having trouble with Pacifist on Funhouse Frazzle, and in the meantime Luigi is doing what he said, doing expert on Captain Briny.
Yeah, that's a little different than what we predicted.
Yeah.
We thought they would for sure go for the B, but we'll see what Wellisso decides to do if he wants to finish the race anyways. Now it looks like Luigi is so much ahead that it's all it's looking like, but let's not seal the deal just yet. Anything can still happen.
Exactly, and the boss is difficult on expert. Even though you have the chaser and you focus on dodging, it's gonna take a long time to fight the boss on with chaser on expert. So.
Yep. And as you can see, there a lot of those hits are hitting the barrel actually when he's trying to dodge stuff, so that slows the fight down quite considerably, which was the biggest problem with the chaser gun with these fights.
Yeah, 1 HP, and Wellisso is still struggling with the pacifist on Funhouse.
He's almost, he's very close to the end now. Let's see if he can make these last jumps correctly. Okay, now all he needs to do is dash through that last thingy.
He does some swag dashes with ducking, and Wellisso does get the pacifist as well.
Good job, Wellisso.
Yeah.
He's on the what's the English word for like? He's close to the finish line. He's on the stretch. Is that what it's called?
I think he's on the stretch. I think that might be it. Oh my god! Close dodges there from Luigi. Barrel closes in, and I believe he's gonna get the knockout real soon. He gets a knockout.
There he goes.
And he gets the bingo with 2947 loadless, I think. No, 2947 with loads, but yeah, I guess for the bingo we use loads. He got a sub 30, which is like the fastest one, but at the same time, you can see that this is a jet bingo seed. Everything lined up perfectly so that you will end on aisle 3. And both of the runs actually were really right. Setting up the fresh expert glitch. He's about to do like one final go, which is like the chaser on expert. I believe he's gonna go for the B fight, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see what he chose. Yeah, he's going for the B fight.
That's exactly what he's gonna do. So really good effort from him, but today it was not enough, unfortunately. Luigi takes the cake, but really good effort from Wellisso, nonetheless.
Yeah. I'd say for both races, Wellisso did extremely well. Bingo is just like a matter of few minutes, and the low percent race, Luigi did a world record, so you cannot really blame the guy for the race, right?
Yeah, that speaks a lot.
Yeah, you cannot really go up against the world record run. Unless you actually do a world record.
Performing phenomenally today.
He's actually
absolutely on fire.
He was actually, doing extremely well in the weekly race as well. Like, there's a reason he's the #1 seed. He was by far the most consistent player that we had in the weekly races. And yeah, like the first 6 races, we didn't really have that much. We had a lot of variety with having like 5 different winners. But Luigi in the last races actually managed. You picked up a win as well, week 7, and then in the last 2 races, Luigi's like just destroyed them. It was like really dominant, I'd say.
Yeah, he plays a lot of Cuphead, and it's paying off for him.
Yeah, this was the first sub 30 for the double bingo, as we said. I said that the previous one, as like a record code, was like 30 minutes or 35 seconds or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna have Luigi here for an interview soon. We're gonna have an interview there for Luigi. The match between Luigi and Wellisso is done. Because it's a best of 3 and Luigi won both of the races. I have to say that the 4 runners that made it to the semifinals, Luigi, SBD Wolf, Kaleva, and Jason, performed extremely well in the bracket stage. So they definitely deserve to be up there. As Wellisso gets the knockout on the B as well with Chaser, and he gets the double bingo. GG to Wellisso as well. I'm not sure, but I believe we might have Luigi here for an interview real soon, and Wellisso. I'm going to try my best to bring them right here now.
So I believe we have Luigi here, right?
Hello, how are you guys doing? Man, that's a close race. I love it.
Yeah, congratulations for your great performance and new world record today. How was the race feeling, man?
Honestly, I really enjoyed this race. It was honestly both races was really close, and Wellisso put a show today too. His times was amazing, if you ask me, and he was really close in the both races. When I saw he is following me my path on the bingo, I was like, man, he's close to me. So I don't know. I know he can win it if I'm gonna do a mistake. So I was a little bit scared actually. So I tried my best, but in the end, for the last boss. In my opinion, Honey Bottom is easier with Chaser, so I decided to go YOLO Brandy bit, and I got him best try. Because as I was able to see, the expert is much harder. And the bullet
putting on a show there.
Yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna lose because I go to the harder bosses, whatever, that was fun, and I enjoy it. So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hey, Wellisso.
How are you doing? I hope you had a lovely matchup.
Yeah, like I have to say, GG to both of you guys. Like, the bingo race was actually by far the fastest race that we had. It was definitely a jet bingo seed, right? Everything lined up together. That column 1 and row 4 was definitely the best choice, and you both went for it.
Yeah, exactly opposite what you have today. Man, that bingo was really insane for the fast pace. That's true, and we both realized that really fast, and we just go for it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun to see. Oh, okay, column 1, there are 2 easy ones, and then obtain 3 ranks, get a rank A+, and 3 parries on every boss on aisle 1. Just was a perfect combination.
Exactly, and that's extremely great to see that. Once you get familiar with bingo, that pressure of selecting which goals you're gonna do goes away. You have the clear mind, and you realize, all right, I'm this and this. You have the game plan, and then you execute. That's the only thing you have to do, and you both did a really good job there. And going back to the race 1, low percent, Luigi, like, world record, and not only world record, an insane time of 32:10. Like, wow.
Man, that's close to the sub 32, like really close. The first sub 32 even existed. But I was actually on the sub 32 pace after there was, I believe, Ferman. Yeah, I was 30 seconds behind, but then after Calamaria, Phantom Express, King Dice, I just lost 10 seconds overall. I'm not sure where. Those looked like both fights. I mean, 3 fights was really good, but it wasn't good enough, and I wasn't sub 32, but still an insane run. I'm really proud of that. Mostly because some people was going for this category. Like, I believe Kaleva and Xaning trying to get it. So yeah, I just secured this category a little bit more.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be really difficult to get this world record again. I remember low percent, like Mr. Dino, the guy, of course, the beautiful guy who says all the restreams and everything. He's really into low percent. And I remember back in the days when, back in November, I believe, or December, that low percent was a really high 36-minute run. And that was like really impressive back then, right? And you guys slowly optimized the run as much as possible. And right now it's looking close to sub 32 pace, which is like insane.
Yeah, when I was racing and fighting against Matchstick, apparently my first step there, I was hoping, oh god, please, Luigi has to do some mistakes, else I have no chance to beat him. But when I saw you in chat, you wrote world fucking record, it was like, holy moly. Congrats.
Yeah, how are you gonna beat the person who just at what record place, right? That's insane.
Yeah, the only way to beat someone who did a world record is by doing the work yourself and having worse load times, I guess, in Cuphead. But that actually happened, I remember, funny enough, in a Hat in Time race. There was a race where someone did a world record and then another guy did a world record in the same race because he had worse loading times, but good times indeed. With this, though, this concludes the quarterfinals of the bracket stage. Luigi, you move on to the semifinals. You're gonna be facing Jason, and we know pick bands and stuff like that. May I ask, like, will we see any running gun level going up against Jason?
Maybe if I'm gonna win the first one, then he's gonna choose something, because honestly, I know my run and guns is not the best. I didn't practice them. I'm always playing YOLO them without any experience. And Jason is a monster on run and guns, so of course I'm gonna try to ban the run and guns categories, but even if I'm gonna win, he might choose this category as the second one, so probably we're gonna see some, of course.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one. We don't have schedule yet, the semifinals. The players have to arrange the matches. Talking about the semifinals, Luigi going up against Jason and SBD Wolf going up against Callum and Hera. But, aside from the semifinals, aside from world records and such, Wellisso, you made it to the bracket stage, quarterfinals, right? Top 8. You participated in a lot of weekly races. You put up a really good performance against Luigi. You got a PB in low percent as well, right?
Oh yeah, that was insane. I almost was sub 34, but that one death at Matchstick. But I really have to say, it was an honor to race against you, Luigi. It was really fun. Thought I would. Before the race, before the match, I thought, it will be really hard, almost impossible, because you're so consistent and stuff. But when I saw that, well, I had maybe small chances. It felt really, really good. And overall, it was, like I said, thanks for the scheduling of the races, of the tournament now. It was really insane. How do you say? Event? Yes.
Yeah. A lot of runners enjoyed it. I really hope that the viewers as well. Of course, I really thank everyone who watches, who support the runners. When they practice, that you join their streams. Make sure you follow the runners. Make sure you follow Zanning as well, who's in commented with me. He didn't really get to participate in a lot of weekly races, but he's extremely good at Cuphead. So make sure you follow him as well. And of course, before we end the broadcast, I have to say big thanks once again to the guy behind the scenes, Mr. Dino. Thank you so much for setting everything up, for the layout and the restream. We're going to be back with the semifinals, but for more details, you can check the tournament schedule, which I'm going to post in a few minutes on the chat. So we're going to update it once the runners participate, schedule the matches, I should say. Right, gentlemen, any final words before we end?
Make sure you tune in for the next races, because when I'm watching them, I'm having a blast. So that's always the highlight of my day when there's a race. So make sure you tune in the next time.
All right, and that and that is going to be for us. All right. Hope you guys have a great evening, morning, or night, wherever you are around the globe, and I'll see you next time. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
GG! GG! Richtig nice. Yeah, hello, welcome everyone. And